I've put together rubrics for all of your major assignments and for participation, but over the years I've found that my students get a better sense of my grading policies and what I'm looking for when I put my expectations in terms of something that we all love, and that is cake. So imagine, if you will, that the assignment I've given you is to bake me a cake. So to make this cake, you're going to do a couple of things. You are going to gather your materials. You're going to mix them all together. So here we've got our milk, our cake mix, our eggs, our mixing bowl, and our pan. Once you've got everything mixed together, you're going to put it into the oven for the specified amount of time. And then at the end of this process, you're going to have a cake. If you follow the directions and you turn in a product that looks, smells, and tastes like a cake, then you are going to earn a C on this assignment because a C in this course indicates adequate performance. So this cake is nothing fancy. You followed the basic instructions on the box, put the right ingredients in, and you came out with a product that looks and smells and tastes like a cake. It's a satisfactory cake, but it's certainly not going to win any prizes at the state fair. Let's talk about the B cake. We start off the same way. We gather our materials, the same materials, milk, eggs, cake mix, mixing bowl, pan, and then we put them into the oven, again for the specified amount of time. Next, you take the cake out, you've got a cake. Instead of stopping at step 3, we move on to an additional step, and that is paying attention to presentation. You've made an effort to improve upon the standard box cake. Maybe you've added a little frosting to it. Maybe you've put it on a nice platter. You've added some decorative touches. These touches, and this attention to detail, is what makes this cake better than a C-level cake. This cake would earn a B because B in this course represents a very good performance. But what if you want to make an A cake? Right? And really, who doesn't? You're going to start out with the same first step. You're going to gather your materials and your ingredients, and you're going to mix the ingredients together. But you'll notice that we have different ingredients and different equipment here. In place of the box mix, you've got flour, sugar, salt, baking powder, butter, vanilla extract, in addition to the milk and the eggs. The A cake requires more work and higher quality ingredients than you can get from a boxed cake. Then after you've mixed everything together, you put it in the oven for the right amount of time. You take it out of the oven and you let it cool. And then you work on its presentation. An A cake is a prize-winning cake. Everything about it is perfect, or nearly so. It looks beautiful, it tastes heavenly, and it smells so good that cartoon animals would float on the breeze as they followed its scent. This type of cake is going to earn you an A. And an A in this course recognizes an excellent performance. But what about a D cake? A D cake is fundamentally flawed in some way, but it's still cakeish. Perhaps you burned it or you didn't bake it long enough and it's undercooked in places. I've found that D essays are frequently quote-unquote undercooked in that the author needs to spend some more time developing his or her ideas. Maybe you didn't measure your ingredients properly. Perhaps you left out the eggs or put salt in when sugar was called for. But regardless of the mistake, it's a cake that doesn't quite taste right. So while it's recognizably an attempt at a cake, it's not a successful one. A D in this course represents an inadequate performance. There are several different ways that you can make an F on the cake assignment. The most common one is by not making me a cake, but by making something else instead. Maybe you bring me brownies. Maybe you bring me cookies using your granny's secret recipe. These can be lovely baked goods, and I'm sure that they're very tasty, but they're not a cake. And even the best brownie in the entire world would receive a failing grade if the assignment is to make me a cake. Maybe you have made a cake in the past and it's been hanging out in the freezer for a while, so you decide to just thaw it out and give it to me instead of making an all-new cake. This is not a good idea. Cakes are occasion-specific desserts, and a cake that you bake for another course wouldn't work in this course. It wouldn't be a good fit. Another way to flunk the cake assignment is to give me the raw ingredients in a bag, but not to make an effort to whip them up into something cake-like. It's possible for me to make a cake with the things that you've given me, but you haven't made the cake, which is what the assignment asked for. And then worst of all, you can buy a cake at the store and tell me that you made it yourself. The cake isn't the important thing, the process is. So by buying a cake, you're missing the whole point of the assignment, which is to learn a new skill and to improve as a baker. But what if you're not good at baking? How are you supposed to produce a prize-winning cake? Well, to that I would say, you practice. You can't get good at something if you never do it, and baking, like writing, is a skill that you need to hone through regular practice. You may find that you need to make multiple cakes to get to the level that you'd like. Most A cakes aren't first attempts. Perfecting your cake recipe is a process of trial and error, of testing out different ingredients to see what works and what doesn't. And it's a lot of work, but in the process of doing this, you become a better baker. And then finally, ask for feedback. People are always willing to try out cake, even if it isn't that tasty. And while fewer people are willing to read and give feedback on essays, I'm always here for you to give you feedback on your work in progress. It's my job. And who better to give you feedback than the person who's going to be evaluating your work? So with all of this in mind, happy baking.